This video is meant to bring you comfort and to help you forgive yourself and move on with acceptance and joy into the future. Many of us have a hard time forgiving ourselves. We often hold our regrets and our mistakes against ourselves as if we should have known better or should have done better. Over time, this can lead to feelings of deep shame where we start to not feel good enough or start to feel unworthy, and this shame and fear that we carry around can really impact our life in negative ways. I'm here to share with you how you can begin to forgive yourself and let go of this shame and fear that you've held on to for however long you have held on to it. You don't have to hold these burdens anymore. Maybe you are having a hard time forgiving yourself for how you showed up in a past relationship, or for hurting someone you love, or for simply saying the wrong thing to someone. Maybe you can't stick to anything that you set out to stick to. Maybe you can't accomplish any goals you set out to stick out to. I'm here to give you some tips for how to forgive yourself, how to feel better about things that you've done in the past or things that you can't forgive yourself for in the present, and how to move on from the shame that you can often spiral in. So here's some things to think about and remember on your journey to learning how to forgive yourself. We are always doing the best we can in that moment. This mental shift has by far helped me the most to forgive myself in my life. So one thing that I have struggled with recently forgiving myself for is how I showed up in my past relationship. I felt like I didn't show up as the best version of myself. I felt like I sometimes was very reactive, and the wounded parts of myself just showed up a lot in ways that I wasn't proud of and that I don't want to show up in. And I had a hard time forgiving myself because I felt to an extent like it was my fault that the relationship had ended, and I felt like I should have been better. It made me feel slightly unworthy of love because it makes me feel like it's my patterns that are ruining the relationship. I had to remind myself this reminder, which is we are always doing the best we can in that moment. So whatever I couldn't forgive myself for doing in the past in this relationship, I had to remind myself that in each moment when I was reactive or in each moment when I didn't act according to how I wanted to, I was only doing the best that I could in that moment. A lot of times in that relationship, I was reacting from a very wounded place, and this was the only way that I knew how to react based on how I grew up, what I witnessed from the relationships in my life growing up, and just how I learned to react and deal with emotions. And I was only doing the best that I could. And so now what I can do going forward is to heal those parts of me that maybe still felt wounded and still felt triggered by these things and reacted in these ways, but I can forgive myself in those moments because that was really my inner child that was just acting out from those places. I didn't know that I had those parts of me until they were triggered. And so now it is up to me to continue to heal those parts of me so that I can show up in a way that is more authentic to me and not just in the ways that I picked up from my childhood. But healing those parts of me is a deep process, and so having compassion with myself as I learn to heal, as I learn to grow, is really important, and holding that shame against myself will not help me to heal. It won't help me to grow, but having compassion for the wounded parts of me will help me to grow. So another thing to think about when going to forgive yourself is to allow yourself to completely feel the feelings associated with not being able to forgive yourself. Instead of trying to run from how uncomfortable it feels to not be able to forgive yourself, sit with those feelings. In order to heal, we need to feel. Let yourself just sit in the discomfort of feeling the shame that you feel around whatever you can't forgive yourself for. Just let yourself feel it. Give yourself just time to just sit in the discomfort. A lot of times we spend our time running from this discomfort so that we can never feel and express these emotions. They are called emotions because it's energy in motion. So in order to forgive ourselves and to get rid of this shame and this guilt, we need to allow ourselves to feel the guilt, because it's okay to feel bad. It's okay to feel this shame, this uncomfortable emotion in itself is not going to hurt you. But running from it and resisting it is going to hurt even more than just letting yourself feel it. Honestly, I've grown to really look forward to the times when I just let myself sit in my emotions, because it means I'm no longer running. I'm no longer running from the emotions. I'm no longer running from the fear. And now I can just sit down and be with myself and my experience. So another thing to think about when going to forgive yourself is, instead of trying to completely forgive yourself, try to get to a place of neutrality. We're not trying to go from feeling really bad about something and not being able to forgive ourselves to completely forgiving ourselves and feeling great about it. We just want to improve just a little bit. So you can try to feel a little bit better about it every single day. It is true that time heals. Sometimes it does take a little bit of time to forgive ourselves, and that's okay. Whatever helps you to incrementally feel better about this is helpful in the long run. Imagine this this part of you that feels really shameful for what you can't forgive yourself for. What does that part of you need to heal in order to feel soothed, in order to feel loved, in order to feel safe? When we feel shame or can't forgive ourselves for something, there's a part of us that's just stuck in that place. And that part of us is just a wounded part of us that needs love, that needs some sort of soothing. So how can you offer this soothing to yourself and to help yourself feel just incrementally better? I like to imagine myself actually talking to this part of myself and saying things like, I know these feelings are uncomfortable, but I've got you. And it's okay. I forgive you for acting that way in the past because you were only doing the best that you could. Continue to hold yourself, to be compassionate with yourself, and to move yourself just closer towards a feeling of acceptance. And lastly is just a reminder to keep practicing self-compassion. Keep reminding yourself that you are always only doing the best that you can with what you have, and keep focusing on healing the wounded parts of yourself and giving yourself love and pouring back into yourself, because however we feel about ourselves in the inside is how we will present to the outside and is what will reflect back to us in our external environment. So the more we can focus on self-love, on rewriting our limiting beliefs, on healing ourselves, the more that we will show up in a way that we are proud of you. I hope that this video helps you to forgive yourself even just a little bit. Please let me know in the comments what resonated with you, any thoughts you have about this, and subscribe for more content on this, for how to grow deep self-love and confidence, and to show up in your life in a way that you are proud of, and creating a life that you're proud of as well. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you next time.